You know, I felt weird the last week. I told you guys this, talking about the passing of Hunter, right? Friend. Twofold at least. First one being, there's a lot of people that were closer to Hunter than me. So for me to say he was my friend, I envisioned myself being those people saying, well, you guys are friends, but we were friends. So I felt a little awkward in that regard. And I felt awkward because I was getting these messages from people saying thank you for doing the videos, and I didn't know how to feel about that, quite frankly. I was glad that somebody else got some use of the videos, because I had said to you what it ended up being was virtually a diary for me, and a way for me to unpack some of the stuff that I was carrying around. You know, my wife called me yesterday and she was not upset, but I told you guys she doesn't usually watch all the videos. I make a lot of videos, you know that. And she said she started watching the video and she felt a little upset that I couldn't come to her with this stuff. My take on that was simple. I felt that as a husband, it was my job not to heap more emotion onto my family. But I knew I couldn't bottle it up. So that's where the videos came from. And it wasn't that I didn't trust or didn't want to talk to my wife about it, or just we don't have a strong enough relationship where we can do that. Of course we do. I can talk to my wife all day long. She would stop listening after mere moments, but I could. And we have a great relationship in that regard, but I just felt that it was too much for her. It was almost too much for me. I can carry a lot of stress. I'm sure you guys, if you know me personally or you followed us, you know what I can carry. But I can't carry it forever, and I can't carry it for a long time. Right? I'm not a pack mule. And that's why those videos help so much. And still do, quite frankly. So I was there yesterday and I didn't know how I'd feel. I knew that I would be in and out and too busy for it to sink in. Too busy for that blanket to be thrown on me of where we were right now, what we were doing right now. It never did sink in. Not yesterday, it did. And I almost got through today, too. I was in the kitchen yesterday, and I don't want to use names. I think it's at the very least disrespectful. But there was a lady that came up to me and she said she must have watched my videos, because I had said that, I felt bad. I felt a little odd making them because they were for me, and I felt a little weird. I don't know if that's the right word. I felt great that people had messaged me and said, hey, your videos really helped me. That isn't what they were for, but it would be ridiculous of me and very naive of me to think that other people weren't feeling the same way I did. So hearing somebody talk about it, I guess I can understand how it helped. A lady came up, she had tears in her eyes. She said, just so you know, your videos helped a lot. They helped a lot of people. And I'm one of them. And it caught me off guard. And I said, I'm glad you found some comfort in them. I wanted to get that stuff off my chest. I didn't want to carry it around anymore. I think she understood. And I didn't realize, I told you guys that our industry has a tough time processing, because we don't talk about our feelings maybe to ourselves or our friends. We might talk to our horses about them, but we don't have psychiatrists, right? We don't have therapists. We don't go out with our buddies on a Friday and sit around a table talking about our feelings. It doesn't happen. You know, we're all weak in that regard, but we try our hardest not to show weakness. I'll tell you one thing. I got to know a lot of guys really, really well over the last week. People that, you know, you think you know somebody until something happens. And then you get to see them outside their comfort zone when their shields are down. They're vulnerable. Good people. Really good people. Not shocking. Our industry's full of, you know, just wholesome, salt of the earth people. And that's why it's so easy to fall in love with this industry. Because of the people that are in it. And what we get to do, we get to race horses and be around horses every day. And that's what makes it a great industry. That's why people don't take very long to fall in love with horse racing. It's the horses and the people in the game. After that lady said that to me yesterday, because it's one thing when you read a message on Facebook, you know, and I had so many people that I hadn't connected with in over a decade or more messaging me about the video that I made, talking to me, hey, hope you're feeling better, you know, it's a great video you made, it probably helped a lot of people. But the people I think it really helped were the people like me, right? People that have families, people that maybe don't know how to process something like that and don't have an outlet, don't use an outlet. I'm lucky. I have a platform where I can just babble on. Call it information. So I left the track and the lady's words had sunk in. And I was thinking a lot about it, and then my wife called, and she was a little upset. But I explained to her that, you know, she said, well, you know, I want to have that conversation. I said, honey, I would have that conversation with you all day. I'll talk to you about how you feel. But what you feel about what happened last week is not the same as what I feel. You're looking at it from Chloe's standpoint, which you should. And I know you feel terrible about that, and I'm happy to talk to you about that. Because as far as I'm concerned, I don't think there's a human being on planet Earth I feel more sorry for than I do for Chloe right now. On so many levels. And every single significant other of anybody in this industry can easily connect with her. So there's no shortage of emotion to go around, that's for sure. We're not used to this. People don't die on the racetrack. Certainly not kids beginning their career. A gentleman passed away the other night, had a heart attack. Elderly gentleman, been in the business his whole life, and I can think of a multitude of ways to go out much worse than that. But that was a heart attack. That wasn't this. And I apologize. Please don't think that I'm diminishing one situation. I'm certainly, I understand the gravity of both. One person I had respect for, and I knew, but not that well. Another person I have a ton of respect for a number of different reasons I knew very well. One in the twilight of his career and his life, the other one just beginning it. So I don't mean to diminish one to the other. They're both very, very sad. Just a devastating week. So I talked to Amy for about an hour, but I didn't want her feeling that I didn't want to talk to her, nor that I was bottling all this up. Quite the opposite. This is exactly why I was making these videos. So I went through my day yesterday and I go into today. Today was the first day. Today was the first day I was at the meadows the whole day. I had to look at that far turn. I could hear his voice. Every time somebody, if you go into the meadows, you'll go through into the driver's room. You go through one door, and then a very, very short hallway to the right, men's locker room to the left, the ladies. And in that short hallway, obviously you hear voices, people talking as they come in. I swear you can hear them. So a much more emotional day for me, and it will, every time I'm in a position where I feel unfamiliar, or the emotions of what took place are bubbling up. Every time I'm there, it diminishes the next time, I believe, that it will happen, and so on and so on and so on, until you remember someone you lost at specific times on your time frame, not on a random one. It doesn't sneak up on you as much, I'm sure, but it sure did today. I thought I was through the whole day. I stared at that turn 25 times today. And that is the difference. I told you I almost got through the day. And then a driver come up to me towards the very end of the card. And somebody who's really quiet. I got a ton of respect for. Really quiet guy. And I got to look behind his defense last week too. And he came up to me and he said, "My wife told me to watch your video." And of course I played dumb on the video. He said it helped, and I appreciate you making it. I almost ruined the whole race. And at that very moment, I realized that the most vulnerable people out of all this, aside from Hunter's immediate family, obviously, are the people like him and the people like me that are in the same place that Hunter is in every day and have to go through that turn every day. And don't talk to many people because we don't want to hurt our family. We don't want to bring them down. We don't want to subject them to the very things that we are going through. But therein lies the problem. Eventually it's going to eat away at you. So if I can sit here like a vulnerable person and explain how I feel, explain my feelings, and that goes a long way to helping them, then so be it. So today was a bit tougher. A little bit tougher, but you know what? Everybody gets through it. And, I was driving Horace in the final for Andy Ricker today, and I knew it'd be emotional. I saw Andy at the hospital, and Andy and Hunter were super tight. I've only known him the last year or two, and he seems like a really nice guy. And Horace has won like 4 in a row, picked for second or third going into the final, and Hunter's driven him his whole life. So Andy comes up and I just wanted to, keep it professional. Hey, how's the horse? What do I need to know? He said, you can't really chase him off the gate. He can get out of there, but it's got to be on his terms. Anytime a trainer starts with those specific instructions, whereas if you do this wrong, he will run. Especially when you're coming in driving a horse that somebody's been driving and getting along with. So I was feeling a little bit of added pressure. And then I scored down Colorado Joe. He run all over the track. He made like 3 breaks. Scored down. And just collected myself. I said, gonna need a little help here, bud. Don't think Joe and I are really meshing. So, went behind the gate and he didn't do any of it. I just sat him on the outside, just got beat at the wire. And I'll tell you what, I would have loved to win that race for Andy Rickard, but I don't know if I could have held it together in the winner's circle. So, anyway, today is turned into one of those days, and it won't be the last. And I don't, although I am obviously emotional about it, I'm not sad per se, but a tough day. So, that's enough about that. I guess the one thing is, I know that if I feel this way today, I wasn't the only one. And if I bring anybody else any solace, any comfort in talking about how I feel or cracking up in a video, then so be it. But it is nice to get it off my chest, and it is nice to talk about it, because it is something, unfortunately, in one form or another, many of us have gone through, all of us will go through, and unfortunately it's the part of life. You know, that's the deal. You get to be on earth and you get to be happy, but you can't do it without being sad from time to time, and that's the deal, I guess. So had better days, decent day on the track, got beat a couple of times at the wire, as I said, but a decent day at the track. And you know, for all the drivers out there that are, you know, trying to hold it together for their families, or are not wanting to look or feel vulnerable, I hope this video helps a little bit, because it definitely helps me. So if there is people to talk to, and listen, I'm one of them. I know it's not always easy to speak to people, especially when you know you're probably going to end up crying or being very vulnerable. But at the same time, I can attest to it and tell you right now that it's absolutely 100% worth it. And it's not stuff you want to be carrying around with you. It's not stuff that you want to be dragging around with you through your life. It's very hard to be happy when there's a portion of you that's always sad. So, for everybody out there, I really thought that the other day it was going to be the last video I made on this topic. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a doctor, and I'm not just a guy. And for all the other guys out there that are just guys, if this helps at all, then it's worth it. All right? At the very least, I wasted 20 minutes of your time. Have a great day. Take care. And I'll talk to you all tomorrow.